We introduce our next speaker, Moho Mastuti. Very good, thank you. And you know what is so interesting, and one of the things that you said is about the reputational influence of developing your reputation online. A very, very important aspect. Can you imagine if a Sri Lankan artist like Nimal Mendes had had this kind of capability? Or someone like Clarence Wijiwardena who would have this kind of capability? Or let's say even, for example, if there was a Bollywood star like Jacqueline Fernandez that had this capability of really getting to her audience. That would be something, don't you think? Anybody there? Yes, no, no, yes? Yes, of course it would be. So we're going to continue our discussion shortly with some interesting questions to you about that. But in the meantime, we'd like to introduce you to a gentleman who is really one of the great thinkers and brains of this new area, and particularly with regard to mobile music. And we'd like to just give you a little background about him. He's a consultant, he's an author from Bangalore, he's a research advisor at the Asian Media Information and Communication Center, which is called AMIC, A-M-I-C. He's the editor of a 5-book series, the Asia Pacific Internet Handbook, the Knowledge Management Chronicles, Africa.edu, the World of Proverbs, and the Global Citizen. He's the research director of Mobile Monday, which is a global network of mobile and wireless communications professionals all over the world. Started in Finland, and now one of the most important gathering places for mobile professionals every Monday in cities all over the world. His name is Madan Mohan Rao, and he's a frequent speaker on the international conference circuit. He's given talks and lectures in over 75 countries around the world, and he participates in consultations at UNESCO, the IDRC, and the very important German Friedrich Ebert Stiftung Foundation. He graduated from the IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology at Bombay, very, very tough educational institute, and also the University of Massachusetts in the States, with a Master of Science in Computer Science and a PhD in Communications. So Dr. Rao, give us a consultation. Give him a big hand, please. You have a mic? There you go. Over to you.
Hi, sorry for the long introduction. It almost reads like an obituary after some time. But thanks for inviting me here again for the South Asia Mobile event. Thanks to ICTA for these excellent conferences, as well as hosting the jury for the M-Billionth and the Manthan Awards. I'll talk a little bit about mobile and music. Thanks to our speaker, Shank, for setting the stage on some of the theories behind music discovery and social media. Like Osama, I'll give you more examples of, in our part of the world, how is music changing with mobile and social media. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about mobiles and music, Solo-Mo and beyond. Solo-Mo is one of those lovely acronyms that people keep throwing up in the mobile world. How many people know what Solo-Mo is? The winner gets an iPad. Never mind, just kidding. Solo-Mo is social, location, plus mobile. Okay, so what we're seeing now is how the music industry is being transformed with the combination of location-specific information, social media, and mobiles. Each time I come to Sri Lanka, I try and see other parts of the country and the region as well, and I spend some time before coming here in the Maldives. If you haven't been to the Maldives yet, please go before the place disappears. I'm not kidding. This was a photograph taken in 2009, an appeal from the government of Maldives to the United Nations and the people of the world saying, if you don't do something about global warming, this country is going to disappear. It's going to be swallowed up by the Indian Ocean. From a mobile perspective, something very interesting about Maldives I discovered. It has one of the most densely populated islands in its bunch of islands, which includes Malé, the capital. One of the, I think it's the 4th most densely populated island, this tiny segment of Maldives. The rest of it is like this. It's thousands and thousands of sandbars. Literally one person on one island, or most of them actually uninhabited. But even in the middle of this archipelago, I took almost 4 hours on a ferry to go from one end to the other in the south after a 1-hour flight from Malé to Vilingili. And what I found was amazing. In a fishing boat, here's what you see. There's the fisherman, the chief fisherman, lying down on the tanks. In those tanks are hundreds of fish with ice and all that stuff. He's lying down with a mobile phone talking to his wife. And that's his son behind him on a laptop with a mobile data modem, a mobile stick. And he's logging onto the internet, downloading music, and he's got DJ software. He's compiling some music. He's got his own lounge music with Maldivian and some other Buddha bar kind of stuff going on. This is the future. This is voice plus data happening together right now in the middle of the ocean in the Maldives. And you can see the difference between voice and data. The elder generation wants voice. He's happy just talking to somebody. But the younger kid wants all the other goodies of mobile internet. He doesn't care so much about a smartphone. He wants internet. He wants mobile internet on a laptop by using a data card. That's all he wants. That's what I found even in the place like the Maldives. And these are not white-collar yuppies. These are blue-collar fishermen. And this is how they're using internet and mobile in the Maldives. What I'll talk about is, in terms of music, various aspects of looking at mobile. One is music as heritage. This is how to use technology to preserve your musical heritage. We come from one of the oldest parts of the world with music dating back several thousands of years in terms of traditions, instruments, and so on. But many of these forms are under threat of disappearing unless people archive and document this kind of music. 15 years ago, I met an organization called the Archival Resource Consortium. They had those big bazooka video cameras, and they used to videotape different kinds of folk music acts all over South Asia. In 1995, unfortunately, fungus ate up half of their video collection, so all those archives are gone. If they had mobile phones back then, they could have archived all of this stuff on the smartphone. So today, I see the smartphone as not just something for photographers and journalists, but also for archivists. You can become a very good archivist of anything you like. Can be music, photographs, funny posters, advertisements on bus stops. You can archive all this stuff and build this up on the internet as your own fan collection. Mobile is also entertainment. Music is also entertainment, and sometimes entertainment clashes with heritage. Many people will tell you kids these days are listening to too much of rap and not enough of folk music, so we're losing a lot of our tradition because of the mass market entertainment kind of a thing. There's also music as content. Musicians hate to be called content providers, but that's how our industry calls music content. It's video, it's music content, etc. And the first big push into this area began, I guess, with the technology of sheet music, where you could actually write and have notations for music and put that on paper and separate it from the musician in that sense. Then along came recordings, which, as Tommy mentioned, is the second big mass media. So for about 100, 200 years, the world of broadcast media ruled with recordings and mass media, etc. And musicians became very overconfident. They thought, once I record a good song, I can sit back and the labels and the lawyers will make all the money for me. That model's gone now. Now music is also becoming a service. As you rightly pointed out, what's very important now for musicians is to understand how music is a service for an operator deck, for a smartphone, how to convert your songs into different ways of being curated, how to find new audiences, new event managers. Music is also an event. Thanks to the internet, the value of live music has gone up. There's a whole forum now called the Live Music Forum of Europe, of Asia, etc. And now musicians realize that you must go back to what you did several hundred years ago, which is you must go on the road and perform. You have to connect with your audiences once again, face to face. So thanks to the digital disruption, music is coming back to audiences and venues. Music is also a medium for expression of artistic impulses, etc. It's also a technology. Going back to guitar, to the Moog synthesizer and all these kinds of technologies, music is also very closely connected to technology. Where does technology end and media begin? That's another million-dollar question, which is also the focus of music as a business. How do you make money out of artist management, out of talent scouting, etc.? And in Asia, also we had caught in the twin forces of localization and globalization, which is how do we make our music popular in other parts of the world? Luckily, in the case of India at least, Bhangra has become a crossover kind of music. Bollywood has gone fusing with other kinds of Western music. Chinese music has not been that lucky, unfortunately, from my conversations with people in the world music business in China. It doesn't cross over that well to Western sort of scales, etc. So you don't see too much of Chinese music taking over dance floors around the world, whereas you will see reggae and Bhangra, etc. coming onto different kinds of dance floors around the world. So how does music cross over from one genre to another is some of the very interesting stuff. Obviously, I can't cover everything in 20 minutes, but I'll give you a few insights into some of these from a book series I edit called the Asia Pacific Internet Handbook, as well as with Osama, a book called Net Chakra, Music and the Internet and 15 Years Within India. The other hat I wear for today, for which I'll be speaking, is I'm also, I guess, what you could call a taste maker. I never thought of this word before, but I'm actually an editor also for a music magazine called World Music Central. This is a big web magazine about music from around the world. We do CD reviews and things of that sort. I used to be an RJ, radio jockey, disc jockey at World Music, for World Music at World Space Satellite Radio. Unfortunately, this model was killed 3 years back by various changes in the business and regulatory environment in countries like India. But 4 of my colleagues stayed on and set up a startup called Timber Media, and they are reborn now thanks to mobile phones. So these people first thought we can make music come back alive on the internet, but it's very tough to make a model on music and the internet. As a previous speaker just mentioned, only a few companies are very big in this space, but many startups have tried to create an internet radio model and failed. Mobile has come to our rescue. As Tommy mentioned, mobile is the money maker. So if you can find a good mobile operator who's willing to stream your music or become a store for the different kinds of music that you have, it's a terrific example. So today, Vodafone, Spice, and a whole bunch of mobile operators in South Asia are doing a lot of work on putting music and music archives on the mobile phone. A big part of this also is covered in the world of radio. If you're into the world of radio, and there's a very interesting connection between, of course, mobile operators and radio. One of the biggest makers of FM radio in the world is Nokia, of all companies. Who would have thought that this would have happened? But that's the wonder of convergence. And if you like radio, go to this conference that we organized in Jakarta recently in the first week of May, radioasia.org. And here you can take a look at some of my tweets on this particular event. Jakarta, by the way, is also the home of one of Asia's biggest jazz festivals, the Java Jazz Festival. The organizers of the North Sea Jazz Festival in Holland, which also used to be the former colonial master of Indonesia, they also organized this conference in Jakarta. So one of the first apps I saw for tracking a music festival was on the BlackBerry in Jakarta. I also saw the first example of smart swarming, like smart mobs. People who, in a concert, in a festival, change direction, change stages based on what they hear from other people on social networking sites. So I was watching a concert once at this festival, and suddenly I saw 30 people get up and run to another hall. And after some time, the next day, I saw the same thing happening. 30 people, 40 people getting up and running away and going somewhere else in a flock. And I asked one of them, hey, what's going on? And they said, we've come here as a big group, and some guy just tweeted us or DM'd us on BlackBerry saying, this other stage has a fantastic guitar soloist. So we all got up and ran and went to this other particular stage. So this is live swarming. If you are a good event manager, you'll find a way to find out how to put the buzz out there and get the crowd to your acts while it's happening in a big festival. So festival organizers, mobile music is a very important part of their strategy. If we had more time, I'd ask you a quiz questions and ask the organizers to give iPads and iPhones to the winners, but we can skip this part. But if you don't know the meaning of all of these terms, by the way, you are from the wrong generation, especially the last one, the golden age of app opportunity. If you know how to get gold in this age, it'll be through apps. Anyway, we'll come to that some other stage. A very nice quote, I'll come up with 2 or 3 very nice quotes about music and technology. This is about how, irrespective of what technology does, music remains a very strong cultural activity. And music through mobiles, through social media is adding new ways of discovery, sharing of music, sharing of experiences, and so on. So I began with this phrase called solo mo, and this is where we see these 3 forces converging on the smartphone. One side you have mobile, which is devices which are very powerful and can be used both in online and offline mode. There are very interesting studies done on use of mobile phones in impoverished rural areas. Even over there, some parents buy smartphones because they will use just voice and SMS maybe, but the kids will use the smartphone in offline mode to listen to music, download videos, watch this stuff, etc. Then you have the social part, which is discovery of music through mobiles, which includes what I just mentioned, smart swarming during concerts, etc. And there is location. Where am I when I listen to this particular music? So there's now a phenomenon emerging called social listening of music, which is I'm online now, I'm listening to one particular song, and I want to tell all my friends, come and listen to this song with me. Tell me how you like this song, tell me what you liked about this song, etc. That's also happening through mobile phones. Many media are giving up this race and trying to understand how to do social media. They just hire them now. This is a good example from the US. A radio station just hired a teenager who was a local YouTube expert and said, you run our whole social media strategy for us. So if you are from the correct generation, which is many of the young people in the audience right now, you can do the entire social media strategy of many of these bigger companies right now.